He asked me to marry him on our second date, and she eventually admitted she lied about me shorting her any money. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of me reacting to your wedding stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. This week I have two crazy stories for you, so buckle up and hold on tight. Anyways, last week I announced the winners for our August giveaway. If you missed it, go back to that video and see if you were one of the winners. We can also put the names below just to make sure. But as of now, I think almost everyone has claimed their prize. There might be a couple from the earlier weeks that we haven't heard from, so we're gonna just double check and make sure we hear from everyone soon. That all being said, I've been doing some mini giveaways for signed copies of the book on different platforms, so make sure you're always checking and watching the videos because new ones kind of sneak up all the time. This week, I'm gonna do something a little bit different and pick one winner for the audiobook of Here Comes the Drama. So all you have to do is subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this, hopefully you're already subscribed, but if not, go ahead and click that subscribe button, comment below, and just add the word audiobook to your comment. It can be just audiobook, it can be a whole comment on the story, or, you know, I don't know, just as long as audiobook is in there somewhere, we will enter you into the contest. And then 2 weeks from now, I will go ahead and pick a winner. And how it works is we'll just send you a code that you can use on Audible. I think it's the audiobook app. We'll give you instructions and then you'll be able to just listen to it on any device. So that's what I'm currently doing to listen to the book all the way through again, just because listening to it through the author's voice just has a whole different meaning to it. I'm understanding the story differently and it's just been so much fun. So we'll have one winner for that. Make sure you're subscribed and then comment the word audiobook. That's it. Easy peasy. Okay, now let me stop blabbing and let's get into this week's story. Okay, story number 1. I'm pretty sure you get a lot of messages, a lot of horror stories. Well, I'm going to add to them. Here we go. Mind you, I'm 60 years old. This happened probably before you were even born, but I'm going to tell you my story. My then husband and I met in February of 1987. It was a whirlwind romance, love at first sight. He asked me to marry him on our second date. Oh my gosh, whoa. Okay, we were young, just 21 years old, but I said yes. His mother was furious. She didn't know who I was or where I came from. She knew nothing about me, but my husband and I were in love. She even convinced him to buy me a fake diamond ring from the Home Shopping Network. I was floored. We were both in college at the time. He said he didn't have much money, but I didn't care. I said yes anyway. Fast forward to September of 1987, my bridal shower. My best friend and my mom planned it together at my mom's house. It was put together quickly and on a budget since we got engaged in March, and the shower was that September. When it was time for me to open presents, I sat down in the chair set aside for me in the dining room. And who came and sat right next to me? I'm going to take one wild guess. Your mother-in-law? My mother-in-law. It's so funny because like I'll make these skits, you know, and I do something outrageous, like having the mother-in-law try to sit up front. Not like try to sit up front. Mothers, I think, should be up front, but like push their way up front or do something obnoxious to get everyone to notice them. And I'm like, oh, this is so dramatic. No one would actually do this. Then I read these stories and I'm like, oh my gosh, people do this. And like, it actually has happened. And this isn't a new thing either, because I will also post stories and people will comment like, oh, it's your generation just complaining, blah, 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 blah. She's 60 years old. This wedding was 38 years ago, about 38 years ago. And she dealt with it then. So it's always happened. We're just talking about it more maybe. Okay, yeah, she says, my mother-in-law, we planned our wedding for March 12th, 1988. She had to have a say in everything, every single detail we were planning. She even convinced me to go wedding dress shopping with her. Without my mother, no, that'd be a no for me. Like, what? Why are we excluding people? And why do you get the say in how that works? My mom was devastated when she found out. Why would you go? I mean, maybe she didn't go. It sounds like maybe this is just what the mother-in-law wanted to do. So the next weekend, my mom took me to New York City to a famous bridal shop with 20 floors of gowns. This sounds like a romantic comedy like story. I don't know. Maybe I just picture all of these stories as like movies in my head now, but I can like picture it. Like, oh my gosh, such a cool story. Okay. I found my dress that very day. The third one I tried on, it was amazing. 1 month before the wedding, my mother-in-law's then husband had quadruple bypass surgery. He was advised by doctors not to attend, but she forced him to come anyway, wheeled him into the church service in an ambulance. What? Wheeled into the church service in an ambulance. Okay. Wearing a pink gown with a feather in her hair, determined to make a scene. She even tried to exclude my husband's father and stepmother from the ceremony entirely. Yep, someone like this, that's what they're gonna do. Her husband insisted on walking down the aisle with her, even though he was in no condition to. And sure enough, at the reception, he had a convulsion. Oh my gosh, they're not listening to the doctor's orders, and then now he's gonna have another issue because he's going against what the doctors advised, and she's making it all about herself. She's like, no, you can't miss it because I need you to be there, to be by my side while I let this whole thing go on around me. Oh my gosh. My mother-in-law, her husband, and their whole family left. That left me, my husband, and my family for the last 2.5 hours of the reception. Honestly, I loved it. There were about 60 people and we had a wonderful time, but my mother-in-law never let me forget it. She blamed me. What? She blamed you for continuing the wedding where you weren't supposed to bring your husband anyways because he was in a bad health condition. He needed to be at home resting and taking care of himself. And you brought him. He had a health scare, an issue, and then they had to carry on with the wedding. I don't know. That's very complicated and complex. But the fact that she decided to blame you, she was just looking for some reason to blame you. She couldn't be there to show off, and that's what killed her. That's wild. Wild. Okay, story number 2. I had a very interesting wedding experience. Honestly, there was so much drama leading up to the wedding, you could make a whole season out of it. I can submit that too. Oh gosh. But this particular story is about my photographer. Here we go, a little change of pace, change of person. It's always interesting to hear about vendors and how this works. I live in a fairly rural area, not a lot of options around. I found my wedding photographer through one of my best friends, who was also a bridesmaid. I looked at her portfolio as one does and really liked her editing style. Nothing was overly touched up or weird colors, which I appreciated. I specifically told her that my main priority was capturing photos of the event itself, not a ton of staged ones, because I wanted to remember the actual moments. I am right there with you. It's funny, like when I got my wedding photos back, I was not a fan of the staged ones. Like, yes, like here and there it was nice to have, especially like as family members, it was nice to have. I love candid photos. Like one of my favorites is my husband and I sitting at our like head table, just laughing during speeches. We didn't know like the camera was on us at that moment. I mean, I guess we could have guessed, but it was just so natural. We were just laughing together, and I chose that as one of my main photos in our photo book. But that was one of my favorite photos because it was just so natural. Sometimes the stage ones just seem overly like, okay, stand this way, hold your flowers this way, be stiff as a board, and it just doesn't work for everybody. Again, I'm glad I had them, but it's good that she listened to her gut and was like, this is what I'm telling my photographer to focus on. I even have receipts of those actual conversations. She agreed and I booked her for 2 hours. My wedding was very small and short since it was early 2021 and still under COVID restrictions. Okay, I like when people say the year because then I can picture it a little bit better. This is a huge difference between the 1988 wedding and then today's wedding. Although post-COVID weddings are way different than they are today. I asked her to come a little bit early to capture the getting ready shots. Fast forward to the wedding day, she was late. The photographer didn't show up until maybe 20 minutes before I had to walk across the street and get married. Fine, whatever. Oh my gosh, being late as a vendor is terrible. If it's like, you know, the morning's a little more laid back and they're like, you have a couple hours and the bride doesn't give you like a set, okay, sure. But if you're only hired for 2 hours, you better be there those 2 hours. After this ceremony, she immediately wanted to start posed photos, but I told her we would do the cake cutting first. Someone who was invited last minute was a recovering alcoholic, and since we were at a martini bar, I wanted them to enjoy cake before leaving. Long story, but I promise if I could have picked a different venue, I would have. Just part of the behind the scenes drama. Oh gosh. We were having a lovely time joking around when the photographer actually started pulling us for family photos. After those were done, she whisked us away for couple portraits. I didn't even get a chance to tell my family where we were going, so they assumed we left, and they ended up leaving too. That's I was going to say nightmare. It's not my nightmare, but that's, you plan this whole event and now your family's leaving because they thought you left the wedding. But also, why would your family just assume you left the wedding? This is like so weird to me. Like I've been in multiple weddings where they take the bride and groom away for a little bit and they might not make an announcement, but usually someone knows. Like some vendor knows, someone sees them walk away, something. I would never assume being at a wedding like, oh, they left, I guess it's time to leave too, especially being a family member. She led us behind several buildings and down a slope. Me in heels, of course, I end up cutting my foot after slipping. We walked to a few different spots, took more photos, and I finally told my husband I was done. My foot was hurting and bleeding. He told the photographer we were finished. She pushed for just a few more before wrapping up. When we got back, our parents were gone, thinking we had left for the night. I can't believe both sets of parents just left. They're like, oh, I guess the wedding's over. What? Still, we enjoyed the rest of the evening. I would be so sad if both of our parents left. A few days later, a family member messaged me asking if I got all my photos back. I said yes, and she responded, good, look at this. She sent me screenshots of my photographer blasting me and my husband in a local photographer's Facebook group. What? According to her, we didn't follow the right photo order. My husband refused more photos, and she practically had to force us. I'm putting quotes where she put quotes. I thought this was my wedding, and I could do whatever order I wanted. Yeah. I've worked with many photographers at different events, my own wedding, other people's weddings. When I've been a wedding vendor, I've had to work with photographers, and they have an idea. They probably work with you on a timeline. But if ultimately you say, hey, we don't want to do this anymore, we'd rather do this, they will do that. They're not going to be like, nope, we can't do that. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Like, for example, my photographer, we had talked about doing like sunset photos, and it was in the timeline, but then we ended up like not having time for it, and we did nighttime photos instead. She was able to think fast on her feet, and we did something that was even cooler for us. But you have to understand, like, as a vendor, like, keep things, as close to the timeline as you can, but sometimes you have to shift things around, or sometimes the bride might be like, you know what, I'm really enjoying myself on the dance floor, I don't want to miss this. But that's crazy that you didn't do the right photo order. Like, come on. To top it all off, she claimed I shorted her $5. I was furious. I sent screenshots to my best friend, the mutual, and she absolutely went to bat for me. She's a bull, and I'm super passive. So I was grateful she called the photographer out and sent me every receipt of their argument. You need a friend like that. If you're not going to do it yourself, you need a friend like that. Me personally, I think if this were to happen, I would say something. I had an amazing photographer. I got really, really lucky because it was through like a bigger company where they just assign you one. And so you don't really know. And we hit it off like right away. She was so sweet, so kind. But you don't always know who you're going to get. Some of the vendors, you don't meet your photographer until that day. It sounds like they met and they talked. So this is kind of weird to me. In the end, the photographer admitted she got drunk and made the post. Sorry, but that's not an excuse. You need to get a little more professional. If you're going to get drunk and go online and bash your couple, you've just ruined all your credibility as a photographer and a business owner. Everyone in the group told her that she was out of line, and she eventually admitted she lied about me shorting her any money. Okay, props to your best friend for getting that out of her, because I think people that tend to lie like that are never going to reveal what's the actual truth because they realize it's going to make them look bad. So the fact that she got it out of her, hey, that's good on her. It's just one more wild moment after a very wild ride leading up to the wedding. Luckily, we've now been happily married for 4 years. I need to hear more of this story because she said it could be a whole series with all the things that happened leading up to it. I would say out of all the vendors, like food and photographer are like top. Like they are so important when it comes to your wedding day. If you're hosting like a standard wedding where you like a ceremony, reception, getting ready, all that stuff, because that's your memories and food for obvious reasons. But your photographer is so important. Like that's why I always say don't hire a friend, don't hire like a recommendation that's like your mother-in-law's friend or like a cousin. You know what I'm saying? Like have someone that has a good portfolio, you have a good feeling about them. But this sucks because she did all her work or homework basically, and it still did that. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for this week. Thanks for hanging out with me. Again, I'm doing a giveaway for the audiobook version of Here Comes the Drama. All you have to do is comment below audiobook. It can be just that comment. It can be added to your comment about the story, anything, and I will reveal the winner in 2 weeks, and you'll get a special code to listen to it on your device. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.